Hey guys, Swag here, welcome back to the letter. Sorry about the sporadic updates on this series. I've been feeling a bit ill, but I'm determined to keep going, so let's keep going here with Ashton's chapter. Here we go. The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet, she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Regardless of everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give, though we both lapse into silence after, as we finish our food. There's ease in it, in this, in the muffled sounds of Luxborn filtering into the room, in the light streaming from her windows, and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair, in the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly, after a minute's pause, in words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes, silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually...
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowls she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from LuxU.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
Oh, well, it's kind of on the floor and with your noodle cups.
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open. Right there on the table.
Yeah, see? Good job, Ashton. Like there's still anything to hide. She snatches it away from where I've placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it, and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too...
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, a part of me believes they're a burden, too heavy to impose upon her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we're not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine, most of all.
You have us.
The words startle her to a pause, and she slowly turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology up my throat, her expression dissolves into something I can't quite place. Ooh, journal entry, journal entry. What do we got? After leaving their friends an urgent message, Ashton returned to Isabella's apartment. He found the girl already up and about, cooking. Seeing his exhaustion, Isabella reminded him that he should take care of himself first and offered him food. With a muttered thanks, he accepted. Cool. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, a knock breaks the moment, and just as fast, both our attention shifts towards the source. Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up to open the door while muttering some flimsy excuse in the process.
I'll get that.
Oops, sorry. Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I fling the door open, a whole chunk of the stone that has been stuck at the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. There in the hallway stands Zach, his hand raised ready for another knock. Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief quickly washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. The second his feet crosses the threshold, he scans the place, eyeing what little he can see of the room from the doorway. When he finds none of whatever he's looking for, he turns to me with a questioning look, one that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Everyone's fine.
That we know of, Ashton?
Well, Becca's not here.
Yeah.
She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. But Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach. Morning.
His weight shifts at the same time the stiff line on his shoulder eases, once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then, returns her greeting in kind, as soon as he's let out the breath he's been holding and the tension's finally off his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Anselm alone for some godforsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghosts or not, he's already been given a warning. It frustrates me to no end that this might be the plan he mentioned the last time we spoke. I get that he's worried about Hannah, right? Somehow they've become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zack made it here in one piece, but some dumb luck he's alright, and this takes one off the list of people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I can't just stay angry at him when I have to look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect in that exact minute, there might have been a chance he wouldn't be standing here. This is a blessing in itself. Though, first things first, some things still need to be discussed. I need to just tell him off. Tell him off. Might hurt a bit, but I need him to focus right now. Specifically, the elephant in this room, and it's a damn big elephant considering the possible outcomes Zack's cute little plan might have resulted in. I might as well let off some steam first before we get to the heart of things.
Zack, we agreed you won't do anything stupid.
Really, Ashton? That's what you're gonna greet me with? No, what's up, Z-Man? I just biked through almost half of this city to get here. I could use some friendly greetings right now.
I understand, but you almost could have got killed, man.
An explanation would be good too if you can. You weren't very clear over the phone. And I made no such promises.
You said you're not going to do anything reckless. Your words, not mine. What you did is the exact opposite. And that's not the only problem here. Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering. And believe me, I won't be able to do anything if they do. Did that cross your mind? The whole 46-acre lot is a private property. Why were you even there?
I know, Ash. But the people in there might be in danger. Besides, I was looking for you. Didn't I tell you that?
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter. Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me to silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go here, and all at once my anger wanes. Partly, this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't keep berating him for assuming that, when I've only left him with vague answers. Sorry. Anyway, what do we got? Zachary arrived at Salem all tired and frazzled. Upon learning that he had come from the Ermengarde Mansion that morning, a very irate Ashton chided his friend for ignoring his warnings and being reckless. Oh dear, we got the century coming up. Still.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head. Then, gradually, he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for a confirmation. Like my word can't be trusted. Not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet. Has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all of the flashes fleeting across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zack, at BRC, Ashton and I saw...
She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from
Abruptly,
New
my phone
Love
rings
City.
again. Oh,
Baggers
fuck's
watch
sake.
out, can't beat me.
Blaring its
Looking
badly
for
sang
trouble?
ringtone
Better
throughout
not
the whole
lie.
room.
I'm a cool dude, pretty fine for
Both
an
of them
Asian
pause,
guy.
waiting.
Sup,
When I pull it
I'm
up to
Ash
check the
from
caller
New
ID.
Love
It's
City.
Becca.
Baggers watch out, can't beat me.
I'll tell her to
Looking
get
for
here as
trouble?
soon as she can.
Better not
Excuse
lie.
me.
I'm a cool dude.
Without another word, I step
pretty
out of the
fine
room
for
and
an
answer the
Asian
call.
guy.
However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Becca?
Hey, did I wake you up?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the lines makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
No, I left you a voicemail, so I thought, where are you?
Ash, do you remember that one time?
The question catches me off, to say the least. Where's she going with this?
The... what?
Back in secondary, we joined a contest back then, didn't we? We had to dress you up as a girl and...
No.
What? You looked really pretty. I think I still have that picture somewhere.
Burn it. We're not talking about that again. You promised.
It did happen. Not a memory I'm very fond of, to be honest. Still, the laughter escapes me. No matter how embarrassing it is, that moment is one of the few I can remember clearly in my head. I never did find when she kept those photographs.
Seriously, what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just the first thing I remembered.
You're being weird today, Becca. Whatever. Listen, I need you to go home right away. I'm at Salem Well right now and...
Thanks, Ash.
What? Suddenly her voice hitches, almost as if she's in tears, and it sends every alarm bell ringing in my head. For better or for worse, something more than wrong is happening on her end of the line. Regardless, I give her the focus she asks of me. I don't want to think that she's nearly pleading for me to listen. I like to imagine that it isn't horror, and a deep underlying resignation that I hear in her voice. I'm transfixed.
Hold on, did I do something?
For everything.
Rebecca, what?
I'm so glad to have known you.
Oh,
Wait,
God.
what are you...
Whatever her words mean or feelings they carry ceases to matter in this instant. They're all inconsequential when Rebecca's life might be in danger. This whole thing isn't just wrong. Wherever she is, something fucked up's going down. And I'm here listening to it right now, helpless.
God damn it, Rebecca, where are you?
A laughter, and then the line drops dead.
Becca? Rebecca!
Dread turns into terror, and the sudden commotion from Isabella's room comes rushing in all at once. Zach's worried whispers, Isabella's anxious pleas, and the television broadcasting some news about a jumper all over the city. There's a split second where I'm torn between trying to figure out where Becca is and finding out what happened to inspire such chaos all of a sudden. Then Isabella's horrified scream tears above everything and nothing else matters. Spurred on by a cold gut feeling, I rush back inside. Only to bump into Isabella. The impact causes her to stumble back. It takes a whole 2 breaths for her to steady herself. Shaking, she braces both her hands against my arms, gripping my jacket tightly as if it's the only thing keeping her from breaking. Though even then, there's weakness to her movements, her breathing labored. Any minute, it seems like her knees will suddenly buckle if I don't keep a firm hand on her shoulders. Yet it all shatters when she glances up at me. Tears stream down her cheeks, panicked, desperate, her voice brimming with anguish when she speaks.
Ash, we need to get out of here. We can still save her.
Save who?
Despite the question, a cold and cruel voice whispers in my head. You're too late. I want to believe it isn't. I hope and wish it isn't who I think it is, because I don't want to be someone who has been so useless in that exact moment, paralyzed by dread when I heard her speak. I knew something was off. God damn it! I don't want to think it might have been her final words I'm listening to, but the horrifying possibility that what I dread is real drowns out everything else, especially with the next words that tumble out of Isabella's lips.
Ash! Rebecca's! We have to help her! We can't just let her die like that!
Without warning, her knees buckle. Stunned, I have no choice but to go with her. She slumps weakly on the floor, her face sinking into my shoulder as furious tears flow from her eyes. At the sound of her sobs alone, everything around us fades. Every sound, every movement becomes nothing but noise. Even Zach's somber expression doesn't completely register until I glance up at him with a heap of questions in my eyes.
Zach, what does she...
He merely looks away, not to avoid my gaze, but to lead it towards the television still blasting the same news from earlier. A live broadcast. The second my eyes land on the screen, understanding dawns on me. I'm useless. Ugh! Fuck, man! Becca. I'll recognize her anywhere. I can make out her form even from the way the station has blurred out her image on the TV. And for once, that isn't a welcome fact. Too clear, too livid. Her broken body lies on the sidewalk in just one big bloody mess. Her hair fans out and stands out in stark contrast to the pavement, slick with blood and redder than it's ever been. The right side of her head is caved in from the impact, and her right arm is twisted and mangled. And there are those words again around her. Help me. Just like the letter.
Medical personnel are on their way. Officers have resumed securing the immediate area for investigation and cleanup.
Failed her, man. It's totally failed her. Gone.
Others have been dispatched for crowd control.
She's gone. And I wasn't able to do a damn thing about it. Even now, I can't do anything other than stare at the tragedy playing out in front of us, and hold on to Isabella like a lifeline as she does with me. Can't even bring myself to move, because no matter what I say or what I do right now, empty words won't bring back the friend we all lost. Numb is an understatement. No, I feel dead inside. Even the pictures on the left, man, they're like staring at me and making me guilty. We all do. In the end, I can only scream. Well, she is dead. And everyone reacted just as I expected them to. Crushed. That is not a pun. Before Ashton could understand what was happening, a scream echoed from Isabella's apartment. Rushing back in, he bumped into a distressed Isabella. When he looked to Zach for an explanation, the other man could only avert his eyes towards the television. Oh, it's her mother. Death notification is a task I avoid like a plague. Although I've known Rebecca since childhood, there are plenty of reasons why I shouldn't be the one breaking the bad news to her parents. 1. Protocol states you're always supposed to do this in person. 2. Protocol also states you're supposed to do this with a partner. And 3. I've never been good with words. But here I am, unceremoniously thrusted into the task, all because there's no other one. As expected, everything goes as well as my blunt mouth can take. Mrs. Gale's relentless sobs echo loudly through the receiver when I finish informing them. All I can say before ending the call is an empty...
I'm really sorry, Miss Gales.
Before ending the call with a click, and heading back inside Isabella's apartment. Oh, at least I didn't get to hear her voice, man. I would have felt so bad. I know it's just a story, but I just really like diving in and getting my mind in it, you know? Her mom's voice still ringing in my ears, even as I leave it all in the hallway behind me. Here, though, Isabella's cries have already faded into soft whimpers, and sometime while talking to Rebecca's family, she's fallen asleep. Now she lays still, curled up under a blanket. In the nearby couch, Zach sits silently, and simply gives an acknowledging nod when I pass by. Wordlessly, I take the empty space on the edge of her bed. Despite how peaceful this all seems, the gravity of that news has hit all of us hard. It's in the dense air now, lingering in the room. It's in Zach's shoulders, while he tries to make himself look smaller against the couch. Most of all, it's in the furrow between Isabella's brows. Gently, I reach out to smoothen it out. She reacts with nothing but a sigh, before turning on her back and burying herself further under the sheets. At the same time, Zach also shifts. He leans forward, hands clasped tightly in front of him, as a pensive expression comes over his eyes. A long minute passes while he sits like this, before he speaks and glances up at me.
Were you able to tell her family?
Yeah. It was bad. She was their only child, and...
I could never deliver that kind of news, man. It would just break my heart.
I'm sorry, Ash.
Don't. You did what you could.
I'm the one who should be freaking apologizing.
I was the stubborn one. I was the one who didn't listen. She kept telling me, if only I'd listened to you. If only I listened to Isabella. She'd probably still be
alive. Because the last person I need to account for. Damn it. Zach's here, Isabella's here. Where'd it go wrong with her?
What do we do now, Ash?
Unable to offer an answer, I avert my gaze. How many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them, one by one, right in front of them. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. She, out of all of us, carry a much deeper attachment with the people she loves, no matter how little time she spent with them. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now. Yet her voice, surprisingly calm and composed in the face of this, is what suddenly cuts through the thick air.
We can't let that woman, that thing, take more people from us. I'm not going to lose both of you to her.
Her bed creaks, dips when she pushes herself off it, and takes the empty seat next to Zach. Quietly, she begins gathering every paper from BRC and starts laying them out on the table. Once done, she glances briefly at both of us, a sharp, determined one, then gets straight down to business without another pause. With what happened, we have no choice but to follow her lead. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what we found last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed, have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with the woman in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. Next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
Ash, please. Rebecca wouldn't want us to give up on this. It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little bit of optimism right now, I guess. Isabella's right on the other point as well. Rebecca would definitely give me an earful herself if she were still here. She had a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We'd often clashed at times, yet I still respected her for it. Her opinion was as valuable as every other person I've led into my life. I can't lose another person like that.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Not a good time for a joke, Z-Man.
Sorry.
Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's more than one of it.
Yeah, I mean, Isabella's given it to 5 other people, right?
Even my friend, the priest from the cathedral. He's been acting strangely. There might be more than one of that paper going around that we don't know about. More to this.
He has a point, but there's a lot of gap in that logic. Somehow, even with all this information in hand, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with is the letter and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Where this all started? The Ermengarde Mansion? Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. Can't keep running away. Sooner or later she'll get us like she did with Rebecca. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I can't let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up to me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. Is that coming from Becca's apartment? All at once, the two of them are on their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the three of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
I don't like the sound of that. At all.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella's unusually quiet, as she gathers everything in her arms. Her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. Right now, the smooth surface against my palm, with the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they both are, they immediately stop with a slight raise in my hand. The edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whoever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. Glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. God fucking damn. I can't deal with this right now. Right away I pop the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Zach and Isabella, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here, as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. You two, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. The moment lasts before stars fade from my vision. And then, I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just inexperience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach, and leading the two of them out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while, I'm driving us out of Salem.